Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we are talking about forgiveness and what it does to you when you don't forgive. So we're going to break into that a little bit, and I also have a story about that, okay? So, um, all of us, okay? If you're watching this video, you likely have encountered some type of life scenario, situation, experience that was not pleasant. And there were other players in this scenario that maybe you have and hold some resentment towards because of how things played out. And so you're now, it's sometimes years later, decades later, and you still have this resentment towards these players, these persons, about the situation. You moved on with your life. But have you noticed that those same situations show up again and again in different people? Have you noticed? I know I'm not the only one. Okay, these patterns continue to repeat themselves. And it's almost like every cycle with the new characters is an opportunity to forgive or an opportunity to make things right. So if we're living this experience over and over again, we sometimes have this belief that I think I'm cursed. Like this scenario seems like a curse because this one particular area of my life, I just can't seem to get it right. The same type of people keep showing up, the same type of stuff keeps happening, and I absolutely don't want it, but it just keeps showing up. So, am I cursed? Right? So, I looked up the definition for cursed. Let me read it to you. This is Merriam-Webster's definition of curse. They have a few different definitions, but I really like this first one. So, a curse, noun, is a prayer or invocation for harm or injury to come upon one. So, they use the example, people believe that there's a curse on the house. Okay. So, if a curse is a prayer, then that means if you go back to the initial scenarios that were unpleasant that happened to you and those players that were a part of it, those people placed a prayer for harm upon you in your mind. That's how you perceive it. They put some bad juju on you. And so now those same situations are turning up over and over and over again in your life, and therefore you're cursed. Well, how do you get rid of the curse? You have to forgive. That is the answer to break any curse, to break any harmful prayer against you, to break any bad juju that keeps showing up in your life. Go back to that very first scenario where it showed up for you, where you were perhaps traumatized, where you had a strong emotional negative reaction towards. Go back to that first instance, and those players, you have to go through it and to forgive them. And once you start doing that, forgiving from that very first instance, then you go and you forgive all the other players for the repeating instances. Okay? So, how do you do this? How do you go and forgive? Maybe you lost contact with this person. Maybe these people have passed away. Maybe you have no way to reach them. Maybe you really still, even if you forgive them in your heart, you don't want to open those doors back up. Maybe they were, too toxic or whatever. You just do it in your mind. You have the power to do so. So, scientists have caught up now, and they have discovered that only 0.0035% of what we see is actually reality. The other 99+%, we can't see it. It's reality that we can't see. It's a portion of the reality we can't see. So everything is already in existence. Everything has already been created, but we can only see and perceive the 0.0035%. of the whole of reality. So that means when you close your eyes, the darkness that you see behind your eyes is realer. It's realer than what you see when you open your actual eyes. So in order to forgive, all you have to do is close your eyes, go into your mind, go into the darkness, and create the scene and scenario where you are forgiving those players. You can communicate with them telepathically, imagine them standing in front of you, however you want to do it. You can say the words out loud, I forgive you, I'm letting it go. You can maybe don't say any words and just feel it in your heart and feel that energy release and melt away from you. You can embrace that person in your imagination to communicate that we've squashed it now. I've forgiven you. We're all good now. That's how you break the curse. Once you basically transmute these feelings of resentment, anger, frustration, hurt, shame, all those feelings, once you transmute those into it's all good, I can love you now, that's when the curse has no power anymore. Any harmful force towards you has absolutely no power, and it has to fall away. So now I have a personal story to tell you guys about this. Like I'm telling you, I have stories for days, okay? Stories for weeks and months. I could probably do some books, okay? Books, really interesting, bestseller type stuff, okay? But I was holding on to some resentment, some anger with a situation that happened when I was in my senior year of high school with this boyfriend I had. And the situation was really bad because I had to hide to break the relationship. I was in hiding, okay? It was like one of those controlling psycho situations, Lifetime movie stuff, okay? So this was like years later. It was probably, let me see. It was probably about 7, 8 years later, because after that relationship, which was my very first like real boyfriend girlfriend relationship, I was just having bad relationships after that. That was just the pattern. And I was seemingly meeting the same type of person, the same type of, controlling, narcissistic behavior type of people. And this was just a repeating pattern. And I remember I was living in Atlanta. Man, I have so many stories about Atlanta, but I was living in Atlanta at that time, and I was miserable. I really was miserable. I was hating my life, just all of it, just bad. And I remember walking into the job I had at this time, and I was the only person there at this building. So I was basically taking care of the whole building. And I was a doctor, a chiropractor at this time. And so I had clients coming in and they were waiting in the waiting room. These were new clients that I was seeing for the first time. And when the one client saw me, she said that she felt her energy drain and she started to feel really sad and depressed. I was like, okay. So anyway, I get her back in the room and I'm starting to do her examination, asking her questions, this, that, and the other. Then I do the physical exam on her. And she was like, are you sad? And I was like, yeah. I'm pretty miserable, And so we didn't talk a whole lot about it right then and there, but later on, after a couple of sessions and we got comfortable with each other, she started talking to me more. I found out that she was a psychic. She was from she and her family were from Haiti. They were here, they're visiting. And then they got in a car accident and then ended up, having to come to the chiropractor. Well, she was like, I can see that you were so sad, and I could feel it when I walked into the office that first day. She was like, but I don't see you staying here. And she was like, but there's some healing that needs to happen. And she was like, so can I invite you for a healing session? Like, you've helped me so much, and I also did acupuncture. She was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better with the work that you're doing. Can I offer this to you? And I was like, sure. So we set it up, and I went to her place that she had set up for healings. And she asked me to bring a flower or a plant or something as an offering. And so I brought a plant. And we sat down, and she was like, I want you to write a list of the people who have done you wrong. All the people in your life who have done you wrong. I was like, okay. And I wrote the list. I probably had like 6 or 7 names on there. And she was like, okay. She was like, because this is what's blocking you. This is what's blocking you from moving forward in your life. And once we do this healing and we release these feelings that you have towards these people and you forgive, then you're able to move ahead without having to experience these same situations again and again. It's like, okay, me not really knowing this stuff, anything about this stuff at this point in my life. I knew nothing about this, right? So she went through each and every name on that list, and she had me repeat after her this verse in the Bible about forgiveness and speak each individual person's name when I spoke the verse. And that, I forgive them and I let it go now. So I did this for every person, and she was using a pendulum to confirm that the work was done after each person. Now it got to the next to the last person's name on the list, and the pendulum started just going haywire, crazy, right? So it was like, okay, there's still work that has to be done there, is what she saw it as. And she was like, I don't know why it's doing this. So then she discarded that one, and she got another one. And she started using that one, and that one swung a little bit, and it was like, okay, it's confirmed. It was still wonky. It didn't do what the other ones did. So it was like weird. So anyway, went to the last name, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do, the pendulum, okay? So she said it was done. She saw Jesus with me. She saw the archangel standing around me. And she was like, okay, and we're done, So that was the end of it. I walked away feeling okay, not really any different, And not even, how many weeks? Not even 3 weeks later. It was a little bit of time, but not even 3 weeks later, I bumped into that person that the pendulum went haywire with. It was really weird because I'm from North Carolina. I grew up in North Carolina. I went to school in North Carolina in the same city. I met this person in North Carolina. We dated in North Carolina, and we split in North Carolina. We had no ties to each other. We had no communication, no social media connection, nothing like that. And it had been 7 or 8 years after this situation occurred, and here we are, and we both end up in the same state in the same part of town, and bump into each other after I had this healing with this person's name on it that went haywire. Okay? What are the odds of that happening? So anyway, I tried to hide from this person. The way we bumped in was at a CVS. Like, even that situation was weird because, let me tell you, I almost forgot. Even that situation was weird, y'all, because my neighborhood had a blackout. All the electricity went out in my neighborhood, but the neighborhood next to me had power. So I went to the neighborhood next to me to go to the CVS and pick up candles and stuff because I didn't know how long this blackout was going to happen. It had never happened before, and that's where I bumped into this person. Isn't that weird? That's strange, right? So anyway, we communicated against, I tried to hide from him, but we ended up bumping into each other anyway because I saw him before he saw me. Anyway, we communicated, and I don't know why but we exchanged information again, and we saw each other a couple of times out in public. Like, we met out in public. And after having a couple conversations with this person, I really then did forgive him. I forgave him at that point. So I think that's why the pendulum went haywire, because it was like, you know, God, source, my angels, my guides, my spirit guides, everything was trying to communicate to me like, hey, well, we're not exactly done with this person yet. There's still some finished business, so we can't say that the work is done. We'll work that out. And they did. So after that situation, y'all, I still had some not so nice experiences, like relationships and that type of stuff, but it was a different kind. It was a different kind after that. It was separate, different from what I was experiencing. And I had so much more clarity and insight around those situations. And I was able to, by default, to go ahead and forgive all those other bad relationships, in between. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all. Just forgive. Okay. When you hold on to that resentment and negative feelings towards someone or some situation or whatever, it's really not hurting anyone but you. And I came to that realization, and this experience with that lady and that forgiveness and all that, it really like nailed it in the coffin for me. Don't hold on to that stuff. It's poison to your system. It's poison to your body. It leads to bad situations. It leads to bad health, mentally and physically. So it's just best to let it all go. Go into your mind and forgive and break those curses, y'all. All right. That's all I have for now, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.